if you think, well, if you're not really master of your own house, you know, if you don't have yourself under full voluntary control, and you certainly don't, then what does? And you know, Freud is interesting in that regard because he really talked about the motive power of fundamental motivational systems. Mostly for Freud it was aggression and sexuality, you know, and those are big motivators, let's make no mistake about it. And so he thought of you as the conscious part of your personality maybe as it's like the captain of a ship with a very unruly crew. It's a nice metaphor because of course a ship's on the ocean and the ocean can be very stormy, and so you can only sort of plot your course and you have to work with what's thrown at you, and then the unruly crew is, well, it's all your drives. Drives is the wrong way of thinking about it. I like the psychoanalytic notion of subpersonality because a subpersonality has a viewpoint, there's things it wants and it plans. So it's a living entity, it's not some dead cognitive system, you know. So Freud was interested in some sense more about, I would say, the biological underpinnings of the subpersonalities, you know, because he was quite biologically oriented, and he realized that sexuality and aggression were very fundamental subpersonalities. And then there's Jung, and Jung is much more terrifying than Freud, which is really saying a lot, because Freud's quite terrifying. But Jung, he's just terrifying beyond belief. And, you know, for Jung, the subpersonalities that make you up are thousands and thousands of years old. They're cultural constructions that are thousands and thousands of years old, and they have you in their grip. So for Jung, for example, one of the things he said, and I don't remember where, was, I love this phrase, it's so true. And you can think about this for like 5 years, and you can still think about it after that. One of the things Jung said was that people don't have ideas. Ideas have people. And that's really something to think about, because, you know, just think about your own situation. So no doubt you have political views, and you think, I have political views. It's like, well, no, you don't, because you share them with a lot of other people. So they're certainly not yours. And not only that, they've had a very lengthy historical development far before you ever showed up, you know, so they're rooted right at the depths of your culture. But then, of course, they've been elaborated by one philosopher or another extensively over the last 200 or 300 years, and there's this whole system of thought, and poof, it inhabits your brain, and then you think, well, I've got political views. It's like, no, the political views have you. And that's a very salutary thought, because it's one of the ways to stop yourself from being possessed, because people get possessed all the time by ideas. Right? That's what happened in Nazi Germany. That's what happened in the Soviet Union. It happens everywhere all the time. And you might think, well, possessed is a little strong, but no, it's not, actually. It's a very nice, it's a metaphor, obviously, but it's the right kind of metaphor, because a body of ideas, like political ideas, they're a living thing, you know. They're not some dead, dusty words on a bookshelf somewhere. They're an integral part of a dynamic society, and the motive force those ideas have motivates you. You're in their grip. And so you can tell when you're talking to someone who's completely possessed by an idea system or an ideological system, because they'll just bore you to death unless you happen to believe exactly the same thing. So they'll spout out a few of their fundamental belief axioms, and then you can identify which system they're part of, and then they just speak in cliches from that point onward, and you can predict everything they're going to say if you know the axioms of the system. So it's very non-authentic speech, and that would be a way that, say, someone like Rogers or Abraham Maslow, who were humanists of the 1960s, might talk about it, because the person isn't speaking from the depths of their own experience or from even their embodied knowledge. You know, they're just mouthpieces for abstract ideas. And so it's very frightening to realize the extent to which you can be the mouthpiece for abstract ideas, you know. And it's actually one of the dangers of becoming educated, especially in a mass system like the university system, because a lot of what happens to you when you come to university is that you're fed a set of pre-digested ideas. I suppose that's one way of thinking about it, you know. And it's very easy for you to think, well, that those are now your ideas. They're not. They're not. Lots of ideas you have to earn. And if it's a great idea, then you really have to earn it. Because why should you just be able to come along and like pluck up a great idea?